You are now listening to The Beat Basement, Season 6, Episode 2.
So I veered off from the soccer game to the Public Enemy concert. I didn't know what I was walking into. I was, I think, 8 years old.
Presents The Beat Basement, where you hear from your livest producers, all of them. And this is where it all goes down, where you hear the funky sounds, from the producers that's up and coming to Grammy Award winning, all of them. And I'm your host, Swish, and we going in. Everything going in.
Well, on this episode, man, must I say any more, man? Hottest producer in Chicago, in the Chi-Town.
Hottest producer and engineer. Hottest producer and engineer.
Period.
Proud.
Period. My boy, Pacino. What do you do?
Shit, bro. Working. We here. Welcome to Chicago. Had to bring the South to the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? We here representing everybody from Chicago, bro. Shout out the West Side. Shout out the South Side. Shout out Humboldt Park. Shout out Logan Square. We here, baby. We making it. Shout out my moms. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Oh my God. Shout out the fam. You know what I'm saying?
Real.
Shout out my cousins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Personally, like to start where I started. I didn't come from a musical family, so that's why I always got to shout out the fam, because they know that nobody else in my family does music, bro. Nobody, my dad, nobody did this shit. I'm trailblazing for everybody. You know what I mean? I'm actually the first person in my whole town in Mexico to do this shit. So that's what I feel like. I always got to shout out my people and shit, because I come with a whole village. I don't just come by myself. You know what I mean?
Talk about the
For sure. I actually was born in Orlando, Florida. I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Chicago, you know what I mean? But I spent a lot of the time, from my early childhood to early teenagehood in Mexico. I actually had to leave over there because I was getting sick a lot here. I have asthma and shit, so during the winter shit get crazy. That's why I like to leave in the winter and shit. I always be down south or out west, because I got sick constantly when I was a kid, and I still kind of deal with it type shit. So I ended up going to Mexico for a little bit, kind of grew up there as an early, early childhood type shit. And then they threw me back in the mix in Chicago when I was a teenager. So when I got back here when I was 12, 13, that's when I kind of discovered what hip hop really was. I already knew it, cause when I was a kid, one of the first concerts I actually accidentally stumbled into was a Public Enemy concert. My OG took me to a soccer game and shit. We were supposed to go watch a soccer game at a park, and I veered off from the soccer game because I was listening to sounds, and the sounds intrigued me more than anything. The sonics of how the snare would hit, and how it was reverberating throughout the trees and everything. I was yo, what the fuck is that? So I went from the soccer game towards that concert, and this was in Washington Park. If anybody's from Chicago, bro, y'all know Washington Park. It's not a good neighborhood out there. It's some West Side ass shit. All you see is liquor stores and gun shops. Right. But that's where we would have our soccer games. So I veered off from the soccer game to the Public Enemy concert. I didn't know what I was walking into. I was, I think, 8 years old. This was right before I had left to Mexico. 8 years old, and I'm walking into this concert, and I'm new to this whole experience, not only the sonics of everything, but just the vibe of everything. You can picture me, all I grew up with was band music, mariachi music, you know what I'm saying? Mexican ass music.
Right.
So to go from hearing what sounded almost like a circus to some other world type shit, it really opened my eyes. And then I think that's the moment that I fell in love with hip hop. That's the moment, the first time that I ever saw any live performance was a hip hop performance, and Chuck D just being up there and delivering, how he does it very abrasively with his style and everything, and just the concepts of everything. When I came back, I trailed off, and motherfuckers who the fuck is he? You know what I'm saying? I was the lightest motherfucker in the crowd. Motherfuckers yo, somebody's kids lost or some shit, you know what I mean? So my OG went looking for me. She's what happened? You know what I mean? Everybody's yo, you obviously lost your kid. And then she asked me, are you okay? And I was I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I was happy, and she couldn't understand why I was so happy. And I'm trying to explain it to her, you know what I mean? I just witnessed something different, and I think that moment kind of redefined who I was as an individual, and ever since then I took that intrigue, and then I went to Mexico with that intrigue. Like, what was that music?
Yeah.
And I started, like, in Mexico, they would have these flea markets
Yeah.
where they have, like, mixtapes.
Right.
And this is, like, I'm talking, like, mixtapes. Like, they would have, like, a CD full of, like, 30 different artists. Tupac, Biggie, all sorts of shit mixed together in different, Eminem, all sorts of shit, you know what I mean? But this was, like, early in the days. So I would go into, like, to these flea markets and grab some of these CDs and not knowing what I was grabbing. You know, and one of the first CDs that I grabbed was like a Tupac CD. And then that, like, changed everything. I'm pretty sure it was Tupacalypse. Bro, like, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that once I heard Pac, I was like, oh, shit, like, this is different, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, like, ever since then, like, I haven't really looked back. Just kind of fell in love with music deeper and deeper, you know what I mean? Like,
that's dope. That's dope. That's hey, that just blew me away.
That's a real life story, bro.
Right?
That's
You was even able to get into a public enemy.
Right. And it was like, to me, like, as a kid, you don't really understand the concepts of things that are being thrown at you. So, like, he was up there talking about rebellion, protesting, you know, anti-establishment type shit, and you're kind of receiving the energy, and you're going back, like, with this whole new, like, yo, what the fuck did I just feel? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I had the intrigue, and I always carried it forward into, like, my teenagehood, and that just developed more and more, you know what I mean? And it's just, ever since then, I'm so deep into hip-hop, like, I swim in it, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like.
Damn, that's what's up. So when did your parents really just, like, be like, okay, we gotta accept that he...
You know what? What's crazy is...
Since nobody does it in your family.
Right. Nobody really accepted it until I started making money off of it. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't become a thing for them until, like, for example, like, I explained this story to Jay. Like, one of the first times that I ever was to collect a check from music, like, I sent it to my OG. Like, the first check that I ever got from a Spotify check, I sent my mom $1,200. And she just kind of, like, was worried, like, yo, where did you get this money from? Because she knew at that time I wasn't making that kind of money. So she was like, how are you just throwing, like, $1,200 at me out of nowhere? And I'm just like, because that's music money. And to her, it blew her mind, because she thought, like, okay, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an engineer, all this other shit, but you're not going to do anything with music, at least in a respectable way. So when I shot her that first check, and I was like, yeah, pay your rent, do what you got to do. Don't even worry about the money. Just, here's money. She looked at me like, oh, this is serious. Like, this is serious for you, and it's serious for all of us. Like, oh, yeah, definitely. Like, once you start developing yourself as, like, not only, like, an artist, but just as a person in the industry, then you know, like, okay, I'm carrying forward this energy not only for
even
myself.
in front of your parents.
Right.
Right.
You already know that when you get in front of your immediate family, that's who you are. Yeah. You know, and it went from me just being like an artist type or like a guy that made songs to now I charge people for what I do. You know, like, I don't just do this willy-nilly, or I don't just do it for fun. Like, we're here for a business. Right. And we take it very serious. We take this like it's our life. You know what I'm saying? It's live or die for us in this shit. So that's how you have to approach it. And your family's forced to take it serious when you take it that serious. You know what I'm saying? When they look at you like, oh, he's in this shit for the long haul. Yeah. Like, till he's done type shit. Okay, we got to get behind this. And then once you get everybody behind you, then you feel that. Then you're like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, this is what I needed to do. And obviously, you have to have that belief in yourself. You know, I don't think I had the experience that I had as a kid on accident. You know, I think there's a divine force that kind of made things happen the way that they did. And that's why I'm here. You know, I might believe in music more than anything is I'm here to fulfill, like, a service. Like, I'm a mediator for him, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not here by myself just doing this. Like, I feel like I always say, you know...
It wasn't coincidence.
Right.
What age were you when you knew it then? Like, because I know you didn't know it at the concert.
No, obviously, no. It's not until I came back and I went to middle school. Like, I was in 7th or 8th grade. And you know, obviously you start getting into the vibe of things, start meeting people again, and when you're like a teenager at that point in time, you're trying to make as many friends as you can. So I was really trying to make friends, and one of the things that I saw myself connecting with other people was through music. So, like, one of the reasons why, like, I have, like, even the friends that I have is because of music. And the reason why I say that is because like for example, when I was in middle school, I had a friend who was really close friends with a guy that I knew and shit, and like he shot himself, and like it kind of affected all of us because we all like were in that clique. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like best friends with the guy, but my best friend was best friends with him. Yeah. So after that, like I feel like we kind of like healed ourselves with music. Yeah, because we needed to get out of the tragedy and get to the point where we can start being kids again and start like, you know, obviously living life again. So one of the ways that we found was music. Like we would go to the garage and like just play instrumentals, you know, and just kind of start freestyling. And that kind of got us out of that whole zone of like thinking like, yo, this is like life is crazy or life is bad, and started like really embracing life and started thinking, bro, like freestyle, have fun, and that love for freestyling, that love for beats is what carried me forward through that like whole experience. You know what I mean? And I'm sure like even the people that I grew close with, that's how we kind of grew close, is through looking at the outside lens and being like, yo, like music is the one thing that can get us through a lot of shit. And it has been. You know what I mean? Music saved my life more than anything. More than religion, more than anything in the world, bro. Like, honestly, I can say that very fucking honestly, God. Like,
and I can feel that. I can feel that.
Honest to God, bro. Like, it's the one thing that I think, even to the day that I die, I can always look for.
Magnitude.
Right.
It's of that level.
Right. And that's why I have such a respect for it.
Yeah.
That's why I have such a respect for it, is because it affected me so deeply and it healed me and helped me so much that I feel like people need to have a respect for it. You know what I mean? Just like anything else, you know, you build something up or you work around something and you expect people to have that type of respect for that type of, you know, thing. Like,
yeah. Just if it was theirs.
Right. Exactly.
Their baby. You know
right. Exactly. You nailed it. Yeah, music is my baby, I would say. Music is definitely my baby. Like,
right. Shit. Yeah. Hey. What can I say? Hey,
shit,
man.
bro.
Damn. So I can tell you was already in the cypher freestyling.
Oh yeah.
I know you was freestyling.
Yeah,
you got some skills on the freestyle.
Yeah. I mean, we grew up in like where I'm from in Chicago. We grew up in an era where if you were gonna do the music shit, you needed to take it seriously. So, and like I said, us finding solace through music kind of helped us like gain a military mindset for it. You know, when we would go to the garage, it would be 6 to 8 hours of freestyling or battling for 6 hours, you know, and like even one of my guys, shout out Jimmy, you know what I'm saying? Shout out James Soto, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Dangerous Garden, of course. Shout out the studios and shit. We grew up in an era where the competitiveness is the reason why we were able to kind of get better and like kind of gear ourselves for better experiences. You know, once we got to the point where we knew that we can rap, a studio was like, yo, like this is the place to be, you know? So we wouldn't treat a studio like, oh, we're gonna go there and hang out. We had still that military mindset, like, oh, we're gonna go to the studio, boom, have 10, 15 verses ready. You know what I'm saying? Be on deck with your songs, be on deck with everything, concepts, everything. So we would come with that energy, you know what I mean? And that's why I think like we were able to create, like when we were in high school, we made mixtapes, bro. And we were on like, you know, like the circuit as far as like Chicago Sun Times, and like people in Chicago knew us for putting out tapes and being consistent with our work. And that's one thing that I think like we kind of faltered at the end because we didn't keep that focus. You know, it's all about, like I said, staying in a thought. And if you can stay in that thought constantly, then everything like freestyling or making beats or everything just kind of becomes second nature. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that whole era helped formulate that and kind of cultivate that in me. And I've carried that forward ever since, bro. Like, I always picture myself, if I'm in the studio, I still think of myself like I'm in the garage, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm, you know, and then I think of, like, even then, like, I'm like, you're not in a garage, but this is it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is more serious than if you were in the garage type shit. You know what I mean? And that's why I think people lose that focus, bro. I think people kind of start losing that want for it once they get comfortable. You know, and I've never been comfortable.
It's the cook up. Time for the cook up.
Be yourself, but always your better self. Carl G. Mazer. Yeah, man. It's a phrase that says, if you knew better, you do better. So you know better. Be a better you. Not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Set a good example. That way you can lead the way. Better is always bigger. So let's go bigger. Let's go harder. Let's be better every day. That's my word, y'all. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Peace.